Hey, you're in the library with the library prof. Here's the library. Yay, library. All right. And here's the prof. Yay. So today we're going to talk about circular reasoning and question begging. So if the writer or speaker means to communicate specifically to you and yet fails to address your fundamental doubts, requests for clarification, or objections to premises, then you can rightly accuse her or him of circular reasoning or question begging. That is, assuming as true what is not yet agreed on between the message sender and his or her audience. How do you know all people are created equal? Because God created them that way. But how do you know God created them that way? Because they're equal. God would only create people equal, right? But how do you know that? I just do. Round and around it might go until additional substantial claims are on offer. If a person is speaking to you but declines to offer additional and substantial premises, claims, or arguments to bring you into agreement with him, then that person is circular reasoning or question begging. It may be, however, that the person is not talking to you, and as such, that person may not be reasoning in a circle or question begging because the audience indeed accepts the premises on which their arguments are based. If you are not the audience for a message, that is, if you're an audience crasher butting in on an argument being made to another audience, and the audience being addressed indeed accepts the messenger's initial claims as self-evident, then it's not really fair to call the starting and stopping points for her or his arguments circular or question begging, but rather you might call them axiomatic or simply given. That is, things that neither he nor his audience or her audience call into question, such as, say, the reality of human equality, the authority of Thomas Jefferson, the Buddha, the Bible, etc. As the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein, who lived from about 1889 to 1951, wryly observed, the explanations and justifications and arguments have to end somewhere, right? So if they have to end somewhere, then explanations, justifications, and arguments also have to begin somewhere. What an audience will grant a writer or premise-wise is always an open question. For instance, note that Wittgenstein's claim can be considered question begging itself if you don't accept it. And he's talking to you, and yet nowhere in his writings does he offer further justification for his claim. In other words, question begging is audience dependent. It's question begging from the vantage of whom exactly? Any explanation or justification might invite an additional flurry of, but why? Questions from somebody in an audience. As when a child asks a parent why exactly the sky is blue, again and again, never satisfied with the parental explanation. If you ignore the but why question, or arrest it with something akin to because I say so, or because that's just the way it is, or by pointing to an additional premise that your audience also finds in need of discussion, then you're carrying on with your argument when premises are unclear or in dispute. You're assuming what is in fact in question, and therefore begging the question. Begging the question urges a reader or hearer to go with an argument absent additional reasons or evidence, to grant your premises, even if just for the sake of argument. But let's say we agree with Wittgenstein. Let's grant him his premise. Let's say we agree that we've all got to start and stop our narratives and arguments somewhere. If so, then where an author begins and ends tells us a lot about what an author thinks, can go without saying, and when enough has been said, and what the author believes an audience will let him or her get away with. Where an argument starts and stops tells you something about a speaker or writer's audience awareness. If you can't say everything or justify everything, then you've got to guess what can safely go unsaid. As John Henry Newman, who lived in the 19th century, once affirmed in another context, he said this: "With you the argument begins, with you too it ends. The beginning and the end. You are both." And if this was helpful to you in terms of thinking about question begging and circular argument, give me a little thumbs up for this YouTube video. And my name is Professor Taffarella. I've been teaching writing and rhetoric and critical thinking and literature at Antelope Valley College in California for 20 years. And I hope this was helpful to you.